Welcome back to another edition of the NTI PodTalk. My name is Dianne Kaler, and I'm the director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. And I am here today with Amber Williams, who I'm so excited to talk to Amber for a variety of reasons, but Amber used to be on staff here at NTI. She's a graduate of NTI. And so we're going to talk about kind of Amber's experience here at NTI, and then also what she's doing after she left. So welcome, Amber. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So as I mentioned, you originally were a student here at NTI. So what brought you to NTI? Why did you want to go to nutrition school? And then what brought you to NTI?
I always feel like that's kind of a loaded question because I just feel like everybody who goes into this career field has a story about their own health journey that brings them to NTI or brings them into the field, or a loved one that has gone through a health journey, and mine's no different than that. So I'll try to summarize because it kind of is a long story. But I was diagnosed at 8 years old with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, which is really uncommon for someone so young to be
at
diagnosed
age 8. Yeah.
Yes, 8 years old. So my upbringing and, my whole childhood was kind of like, I was the sick one. Like I had a bunch of symptoms that were kind of debilitating in some senses and was on medication and was getting more medication for more symptoms that were popping up. And, you grow up going to the doctor every 6 months to check up on things. And the only thing doctors were ever concerned about was my weight. So my weight was climbing, but the only recommendation that they would give me every time I would go was, you need to lose weight. You need to go on a diet or you're going to have more issues. And that's terrifying to hear as a young woman going through, like middle school and high school. So I did every fad diet under the sun. I was playing volleyball. I was trying to over-exercise, and that's not the best way to go about things either, especially when you have a hormonal issue. And then I went to cosmetology school right out of high school, and my health was at the worst that it's ever been. I was having anxiety attacks every single day, like crying, getting ready for school. My brain fog was so bad. I was just terrible. I wasn't feeling very great. And when I graduated, we found a chiropractor in my area who specialized in endocrine disorders. So he quite literally changed my life. I will always owe everything to him because the trajectory just completely changed after I went to see him. He was the first doctor that truly listened to me and asked questions that were pertinent to the situation and had solutions and was able to explain the way that he was doing things and why he was doing certain things. And within a month of seeing him and starting an elimination diet with him, I was going to see him, I think, every 2 weeks. Within a month, I was just a completely different person. So much energy, I didn't know what to do with it. I was sleeping really well. I just didn't have migraines anymore. Just everything just started to go away. And I remember my mom being like, I don't even know who you are anymore. You're just a completely different person, which is great. And then within 6 months, I was able to wean myself off of medication with just diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. And I'm glad to still say that I'm still off medication. And it was just a great journey. But through that journey, I had to learn how to cook. I didn't know how to do that. So I was eating raw carrot sticks for breakfast when I first started with him because what do you eat for breakfast besides cereal? I don't know what else to eat. Anyways, but I found a real joy in cooking, and I found a passion in how different foods affected my body when we started adding things back in. And I originally thought I wanted to go to culinary school. So then I started the journey of looking for culinary schools around my area, which was in Kansas City. And every culinary school I talked to, every culinary school that I toured said the same thing, that they didn't do any sort of alternative cooking for people who have food intolerances or restrictions. And obviously taste testing your food is such a huge part of going to culinary school. And I wouldn't be able to do that with over half the food that we were cooking during that class. So I was looking for alternative cooking schools at that point and found NTI. So I was originally interested in the NFC program, and I came to Denver, toured NTI, and then got to see the kitchen, and then I got to sit in on a class. And I'm pretty sure it was digestion and detox. I've like gone over this a million times, but I can't remember which class it was, but I think it was that. And it was a day when students were presenting. So it must have been towards the end of their term. And I just remember thinking, like, these people are so smart. So smart. There's so much stuff that they're talking about that I want to know about. And I left and I knew NTI was it. Like, that was it for me. And I moved to Denver the following summer and decided before I moved that I wanted to start school as soon as possible. So I started online doing A&P and biochem, and then I moved here, didn't know anybody, but started taking classes in person, and it was a wonderful experience. So I just went through the entire nutrition therapy program first. I have not done the NFC program yet, but that's still on my list. So I know it is. Every time I see Chef Tracy, she's like, "When are you doing it?" So I need to just like rip off the Band-Aid and do it, I think. But but I did complete the MNT program, and that's what led me to NDI. It's a long story, but that's it.
No, that's a fabulous story. And I think, as you said, it is so common that people go on the journey to look for more education when they themselves have some sort of health, condition, health compromise, health crash, and they either stumble upon it themselves. Oh, what I eat actually influences the way my body feels and the way my body works. So they either stumble upon it themselves, or they get introduced to a practitioner, a variety of practitioners, whether they be medical doctors, chiropractors, nurse, whatever, some sort of practitioner that opens their eyes. And once you get that little spark, it starts to grow, and then you just simply cannot stop learning. You can't stop yourself from wanting to learn more.
It's like pulling on a loose thread, like everything unravels, and it's like, holy moly, like all this stuff is connecting now. And it's just crazy. Nutrition is changing every single day, and it's so powerful to be able to help yourself in that way with what you're eating. And I just don't think that we're told that enough. It's not like common knowledge while you're going through school, if you're not going to NTI, of course, but like if you're going through like, going to the doctor or whatever it might be, they're not necessarily like looking at what you eat every single day. So it's a powerful thing. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, we still hear stories from, students, relative of students, prospective students, whatever. We still hear stories where someone is in their doctor's office asking, well, does what I eat matter? Should I eat this? Should I not eat that? And time again, the medical practitioner says, oh, what you eat doesn't matter. That even happens. I mean, frighteningly, that even happens. I recently heard a story of someone who had a kidney transplant, and they were getting some follow-up work with their medical practitioner. They went to see a dietitian at the hospital, and the dietitian told them, you don't need to change the way you eat. And it would be good for you to drink soda and eat cereal for breakfast. If that's what you're used to doing, that's what you should keep doing. And, whatever the merits of that advice are, I think from a holistic nutrition standpoint, we'd all look at that and say, something seems to be a little bit off with that, because what you eat definitely matters. And making wise food choices that emphasize nutrient density is so important for not only for people who have existing health conditions, but as for people who are just looking to avert to avoid
happens.
To avoid health conditions.
Exactly.
I just got introduced to this, not just this, within the past couple of months, I got introduced to this supposedly quote from Hippocrates, which I'm going to butcher, but it's something like the very best medicine is teaching people how to not need it in the first place.
Ooh, that's
And I
good.
love that saying because
Yes.
that's exactly what, we focus on in holistic nutrition is how do you up level, how do you optimize your nutrient density so that you can optimize, achieve optimal wellness and maybe avoid getting many of the chronic conditions that people have. So,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Hearing that thing about you just said about the kidney disease or kidney
Yeah.
transplant, is that what you said? It
Yeah.
fired me up. I just get like this like fire in my belly, like, oh gosh, that's like such bad information to be giving to people. So
yeah. And from a dietitian who is supposed to be someone who reliably guides people to make good food choices.
right.
It was kind of jaw-droppingly scary, but also sad. I felt
Shocking.
very
Yes.
sad. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Man.
Yeah. So, all right. So, give me an idea of the time frame we were talking about here. You came to NTI and then graduated. When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2018.
Okay.
So it's been a little bit.
Yeah. And so after graduation, how did you start using your skills? What did you start to do?
Yeah. I think I did rip off the Band-Aid a little bit, to use that term again, is I just started. I started my own business. I'm still doing that today, and I work completely virtual with my clients. And I think there's a lot of benefits to doing that, but I think the biggest one that I found is that I just get to connect with people that aren't necessarily here in Denver around my area. I mentioned that I'm from the Midwest, and most of my client base is from the Midwest, where holistic modalities aren't readily available for them. So it's been great to be able to stay connected with that, because I feel like it's kind of a passion project of mine to spread this information to areas where people don't necessarily know about it. They don't have holistic providers that they can go see, but being able to work virtually with them, I still feel like I'm able to help and to educate. Anyways, so that's what I did. I started in 2018 and I'm continuing to do that now. And then I've always kind of had a side job outside of that. And right now I work for Just Be Kitchen, which is here in Denver. I know you're familiar with it, but it's a paleo-based restaurant. Their whole menu is 100% gluten, grain, dairy, refined sugar, corn, soy, legume, and peanut free. So, and they only cook with olive and coconut oil. So it's a super healthy place to eat, but I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So I'm curious, two things. You said that in the Midwest, they don't have access to a lot of information about holistic health and wellness and nutrition. Can you talk more about that? Like, why don't they have access to it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I know for nutrition therapists, knowing about the NANP and knowing about practice laws in Kansas specifically, which is where I'm from, it's pretty hard to practice there. So I think that is some of it. But I don't want to say there's no option for holistic modalities. I think it's getting a lot better. But especially when I was growing up, that just wasn't really an option. Like I was going to a lot of conventional endocrinologists, and then that chiropractor that I found, and of course there's chiropractors in Kansas, but it just wasn't something that was easily searchable, or just like people didn't know too much about it. Like all the stuff that I learned through NTI and then also my own health journey, my parents are like, I just had no idea about that stuff, so it's just not information that's available. And I don't necessarily know why, other than like, I think it just might be hard to practice in certain states.
And it's probably, and I don't know, I have never been to Kansas. I don't even know if I've driven, maybe I've driven through Kansas once, but it would have been many, many, many years ago. But my assumption is potentially that, and maybe I'm wrong, so please tell me, that you don't have wellness centers on every corner.
No, I mean, you're right. You're right about that.
Like we do. I mean, we're in Colorado, in the Denver metro area.
Right.
There are wellness centers all over the place. And not that wellness centers all have a nutrition focused, practitioner or that's their focus. But once you sort of take a bite of the wellness in the wellness world, whether it's massage or yoga or I don't know, a variety of other things, you at least get a little bit of an opening that introduces you to, hey, food matters, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you're right about the wellness center thing. I mean, it definitely depends on what area in Kansas you're in. If you're up towards like Lawrence and Kansas City, you'll probably come across those things more than you would in Ellsworth, which is where I grew up. It's a super small town. But even like from what it was growing up, there's still options that have come about in Ellsworth. Like there's a local bakery that opened, they've got gluten-free goods and like she makes all of her flours and sells her flours and stuff like that. So there's like little nuggets that you'll find every once in a while, but it isn't as readily available as it is here. So it is getting better though. I just feel like we're slowly seeing the pendulum swing so that everybody's kind of getting the idea of like, hey, this stuff is important and I want to start looking at what I'm eating and, try out different things. That's not just meat and potatoes and wheat and all those things.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Are good. We're good in some instances, but
Yeah. Yeah. And that certainly, fits right in line with the mission of NTI, which is we're on a mission to spread the word about good food and nutrient density. And, so
absolutely
hopefully we're helping play a role in that. So,
oh my gosh,
all right. So you, graduated in 2018, and then in 2019, you came on staff here at NTI. And so tell us what you were doing here at NTI and all the great things that that went along with working here on staff.
Absolutely. It was a bunch of great things. I remember when I saw the job post, it was on Facebook, and I like hardly ever scroll Facebook, and I was like, right away, I got to apply for it. So it was kind of like a little bit serendipitous because I just feel like NTI continues to like bless me in different ways as I'm here. So anyways, but I started at NTI in 2019, like you said, and started on the admissions team. And then I think maybe about a year after that, I started doing some advising as well. So I was doing kind of both desks at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And when so I hired you, that a big reveal here. I'm the one that hired you, but when I contacted your references, they all just could not say, I mean, everything they had to say about you was great, and they just could not say anything that was any kind of drawbacks. Everything about you was great. And I found that to be true as a staff member. So thank you for your participation here. I think that, another big reveal here for those who don't know, NTI was founded in 1999, and I came on as owner and director in 2019. And so that whole process of the staff that we had at that time, we really, brought NTI to be what it is today. And we're continuing to make improvements, but brought it to what it is today. And you were a major part of that. And I certainly appreciate that. So
thank you. It was really good to be part of such a supportive team. I just felt like I don't think I've ever had a work experience like that where owners and bosses were open 100% to hearing your ideas, no matter how crazy they were, and telling you to go for it or just supporting you 100%. And the staff, the environment was amazing, still is amazing. So yeah, it was a great work experience.
Yeah. Well, so we had a change early this year. So we're in fall 2022. Early this year, you got an opportunity to move on And we definitely were sad to lose you here at NTI, but an opportunity came and we definitely wanted you to pursue that. So talk about that opportunity and what you're doing now at, as you said, at Just Be Kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was already working part-time at Just Be Kitchen while I was working at NTI. So I was doing their wellness events and catering. So I was using my nutrition therapy background to plan these wellness events, to brainstorm different ideas for these events that were trending in healthcare or just knowing about certain practitioners in the area. But then another opportunity came where Just Be Kitchen kind of created a position for me. So I am the wellness advocate there now, which is my official title. And Just Be Kitchen, as I've already said, is an extremely healthy place to eat, and food will always be at the core of what we do. But Jen, the owner, has always had a goal of being more of a wellness company. So a place where people can find community with these wellness events, learn about different nutritional education topics, be nourished while they're there. But there's a lot of different ideas that we have that are just like swirling all the time on how to push us further into that trajectory of being a wellness company. So essentially that's my job. I know that's super vague, but it's just, doing lots of different things to bring more of that wellness aspect to the restaurant. So just this year, we launched special dietary menus, which basically people can go to our website, order online, and they can filter the menu by a dietary protocol that they're on. So we just launched 4 of them. So we have AIP, diabetic friendly, specific carbohydrate diet, anti-candida. So you can go in, select that diet type, and you know that everything on that menu is in line with your dietary protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that was really fun to work on. And we have one more coming up in December. And then I actually launched my first course with Just Be Kitchen, which is a digital nutrition course. It's called Feed the Bleed, and it's all about the menstrual cycle. So it talks, it talks you through each phase of your menstrual cycle, hormonal imbalances, but then also different food, exercise, and supplements that you can add in during each phase to help regulate your hormones through the month. So that was really fun to work on. It was my first course that I've ever launched, and it was a learning experience, but something that was really, really cool to be able to be part of.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as you said, your education here at NTI really provides a good foundation platform for you to be able to perform your job and the ever-changing expectations of your job as your guys's dreams come to fruition. So, were there particular, I don't want to say like specific subjects that you learned here at NTI, but skills that you got by being a student here and interacting in this comprehensive curriculum that we have? Like, were there particular like learning skills or critical thinking skills that you gained by being a student here that are helping you?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the above, like you just said. So what pops into my head automatically is critical thinking skills. So being able to, think about how to launch these certain things, what subjects that I want to talk about, and how to talk about them in a way that's easy for people to understand, but to also learn something from you. I would say speaking skills was something that I got at NTI too. We had to do presentations in a lot of our courses, and that's really nerve-wracking to do. But now I'm leading trainings for our staff so they know about these different dietary menus. But then another thing that I learned was research, how to find good quality research, because while I have that foundational knowledge that I got from NTI, when I'm creating these courses, it's a super research heavy thing to do. With nutrition just changing every single day, there's always new research that's coming out. So being able to decipher what is good quality and something that I can use to cite my sources on these programs and these courses is, I think, something that's so valuable that people often overlook. So I would say all 3 of those things were great.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Because that is definitely important. As you say, you know, nutrition changes. And I think that it's really the focus of what people are thinking about changes. And, the saying is one day eggs are good and the next day eggs are bad. And so people always want to be told what's the right answer.
Mhm.
And I always say, well, you can't be told what the right answer is. You have to understand from a scientific basis how to determine the right answer for yourself.
Mhm.
And, as you know, that's certainly something we focus on here is making sure that people can think for themselves, and that what they utilize in their practice is not because they're being told this is what they should be do, but because we open their eyes to the science and having an in-depth understanding of that science. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I just loathe the question that I get when I tell people what I do. I'm a nutrition therapist. They'll say like, "Oh, what should I eat?" And it's
right.
like,
Right.
okay, well, that answer is it's going to take a lot more than just telling you what to eat. I'm going to have to
Right.
totally figure it out with you. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
It's biochemical individuality.
Exactly. And by the
It's
time you say that,
personalized.
if people aren't really interested in like booking with you, they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
funny. It's a funny
Right.
conversation.
Right. Well, and that leads into what are clients getting when they do book with our graduates.
Right.
They are getting someone who has this in-depth, comprehensive knowledge that is able to tailor their guidance towards what the client expresses they need, and what their goals are for optimal wellness. And so that's what we teach here, for the ability to do that, to tailor that towards what the clients need.
Yep, absolutely. I think that really sets NTI apart too, taking those case studies and really actually having to go through it and see like what people's questions are and like where people get hung up on certain topics. And yeah, I just think that you guys do a great job of teaching the real life experience while people are learning it themselves. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right. Well, so this education program that you're doing with Just Be Kitchen, JBK, sounds really fascinating. How do people find out more about it? And is it like a membership? Like how do people partake in this education that you provide there?
Totally. So it's a digital course, so it's available all the time. And then once you purchase the course, you have lifetime access to it. It's not a membership, it's just a one-off purchase. And when you purchase it, you get an hour-long lecture. So it's me lecturing with slides, of course. And then that's broken up into modules. So you can either watch the full thing or watch it by module. And then you also get a 1-month meal plan, putting these nutritional recommendations for each phase of your cycle into practice without having to think too hard about it. So it comes with recipes and then just different meal ideas and then grocery lists as well. But people can find the course by either going to the Just Be Kitchen website, justbekitchen.com, or you can go to our Instagram page and there is a link to what's called Stand Store there, which is where everything lives, where you can purchase different things. But Feed the Bleed course is #1 on there. So you just click on it and then put your information in and you get the course via a link, and you'll have that forever.
Nice. And I assume that you're going to be building more courses and
we hope so. We hope so. I feel like we just finished that course and I was like, all right, I'm taking a breath. And it's like, no, there's no breathing allowed. Right. Like you've got to keep going. So yes, we do have plans to launch even more courses. We're hoping that this next one isn't gender specific. So it's not just going to be geared more towards females, which is obviously what the Feed the Bleed course was. So we have lots of different ideas. So stay tuned. Nice. But yeah, hopefully in the next couple months, we'll launch another one.
Very good. Cool. All right. So where can people find out about you and your personal nutrition counseling services?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have social pages. Instagram, it's Ambition Nutrition 1. Facebook, it's just Ambition Nutrition. And then my website is ambitionnutrition.org. So you can book with me on my website, DM me, whatever you feel like you want to do.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, this has been a fun conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us. And Thank you for being so generous in your accolades about NTI and the experience you had here. That is something that I want prospective students to know, that we do have this high quality education, and also I want prospective students to see the caliber of the graduates that come out of NTI, and you certainly are a great representative of that. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you so much. I'll always sing NTI's praises no matter where I'm at. So
Thanks.
I just love you guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you soon, and
Yes.
hope that people sign up to take your courses there at JBK. So,
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much.
all right. Thanks. Bye.